the Woodpreneur Podcast, where sawmill owners and lumber entrepreneurs grow their businesses. Every week, real stories from the timber industry, whether you're starting small or running a big operation. Subscribe for real stories and insights from the industry. And welcome back to a brand new episode of the Woodpreneur Podcast. I'm your host, Jennifer Alger. And as we've been talking about doing a download or an unpacking of the Forest Products Week conference that we had in October. And we had several different presenters come in. Several have been on the show since the conference, and unpacking some of the really great tips, tools, tricks that we unpacked at the conference. And I'd mentioned that we'd be having others on. Well, today our guest is Andrew Bragg with AncesTREE. And so Andrew was able to present on the inventory management system that was developed out of a very, very big pain point that Far West Forest Products had. And we we went out and we were looking and trying to find a way to where when we put something up on our marketplace, that it would actually tag it as sold when we sold it, because we were struggling. We were selling, on our marketplace, but we were really struggling to not sell the same item twice, or to remember to take it offline once it's sold if somebody purchased it in the store and it didn't just go through the system. And so we had some inventory issues. We also struggled to know how much inventory we had in stock and if we could fill an order in a timely fashion. And so we really looked out there and we're like, okay, well, we'll get some log tags, we'll do some paint. We had some spreadsheets. And Andrew even developed an access database for us at one point, which was wonderful, leaps and bounds above what we'd had before. We've done some different things with Airtable for our business, but we still needed something that would take the log and follow that chain of custody from that parent-child relationship down to the lumber or slabs that we were selling, because our backstory meant so much in our industry. And we needed to be able to take our pictures while it was wet, while it was still the most beautiful it's going to be on those slabs, and save that, attach it with some sort of a record. So we weren't searching, okay, where's that picture? Where does this go? Where does that go? And so we were just struggling, and we were trying to find something, and then to be able to post it onto the marketplace and have it connect back to our inventory system. And we just kept running up against a wall because we didn't have, a million of the same SKU. There's databases out there everywhere for that. We needed something that was very specific to our industry. And so we looked around everywhere. We looked at maybe buying something, trying to find something off the shelf or have them tweak it. And finally, we realized, actually, some friends of ours who actually introduced me to Andrew, some friends said, hey, we can help you build that. And so long story short, we started building an inventory management system. And in, I believe, 2019, Andrew, does that sound right? I believe it was 2019, we brought Andrew on as...
Believe it or not.
Yeah, it's been a minute. This was a big build because we wanted it to do so many things, not just off the shelf. And so we brought Andrew on in 2019 to be our project manager and liaise with the developers to build the inventory management system, and then the marketplace to connect the two. And so welcome, Andrew. Long backstory there. Before we get into what you've done as a project manager for us, Andrew, tell us a little bit about you.
Well, first of all, sorry about the background. I'm in the middle of building out a new studio. Hopefully to get that done this year and start doing some music again, which I've been putting off for many years. My background, so I'm trying, it's it was supposed to be done this year, but it's not done. But my background is, I graduated. Yeah, hope when it's done, it will be. My background, I graduated Fresno State with an industrial technology degree, and I've been in the construction business since I was, I think, 12, working with my dad, doing construction, cabinets. My dad had a cabinet shop when I was in high school. Anyway, graduated from Fresno State, went to work for Boeing as a quality assurance engineer on satellites down in LA, and decided I didn't want to live down there. And at the time, construction business was booming. So I decided to start a business with my dad, doing construction in the Central Valley. Did that until it crashed in 2008. And um, so I was trying to figure out, what I was going to do. I had my daughter around that time and was just doing side jobs. And I was like, I got to go back to work. So the first job I got was as a manager, facility manager at the milk processing plant in Fresno for California Dairies. Did that for a long time. And during that time is when I got contacted by a friend of mine. And we got introduced. And I've always got some kind of side project going on. So I've always got my finger in something. And I love working with people and collaborating, especially when it's a group of people who are all kind of trying to do the same thing, right? We've all got the same mindset. So I started working with you guys in 2019 and then went to work full time, I think in 2001, somewhere in there. And it's been a crazy ride and we're still going, which is good. But yeah, that's kind of my background and how I got to where I'm at right now.
Yeah. And so Andrew's the one that takes the thoughts that I had that I want for the business, the tools that I need in my business, and he translates them into a language that the programmers can understand, because I'd just be throwing data at them like crazy. And so he puts it in a nice, clean format for the developers. But in addition to that, now that most of the development is done, although we're still making lots of tweaks, lots of changes, and working on the rollout of an aggregated inventory marketplace, which we're already using on a smaller scale at Far West, but the aggregated inventory system or management database should be rolling out soon. And so Andrew's been working on that. But in addition to that, he works with each of the customers and onboards them onto AncesTREE and shows them, it just walks them through how to use it and how to really, really make it do what it needs to do for their business. So Andrew, tell me what when you do an onboarding session, what are some of the things that you cover in that you're helping the users to understand?
I mean, obviously the main thing is the setup, getting people set up with their account. I always tell people, I mean, most of the time when people think an app, they just think they can just go on and install it and start using it. And some apps you can, but this is an inventory application and their inventory systems can be complicated, though we've tried to minimize that and make it intuitive but there's a learning curve. So, and you got to start with setup, and there's some initial setup that you have to do to make sure you can enter your data correctly. Often try to get an idea of what they're doing in their business, because obviously everybody has a different business setup, business model, doing different volumes. So I try to get a feel for what they're doing so that I can help walk them through the app to meet their needs. And then we basically go through the general functionality of the app and I try to, in a as timely manner as possible, give them enough information to get them started at a minimum. I find out, and then usually what I'll do is I'll try to leave it open to a second session if needed. So we'll go through the process of setup, how we tag and scan items into the inventory system, all the required data that you need to put in, minimal required data, and any additional data. We go through how to pull that data back out and review it and sort through it. And then we also go in, now that we're getting into the marketplace, we do some discussion on how to get your inventory into the marketplace and up for sale. So that's generally what I do is walk through that.
Yeah, and I know one of the important things when you're setting up a new inventory system to really, really make it work well is setting up those storage locations and really mapping those storage locations out. Walk walk everyone through and I know you do this for so many different customers, but walk them through when, the guinea pig one, when you were setting up our storage locations, walk us through what that looked like. So
Okay.
we had two locations. We had Sheridan, we had Oliver's. I wanted to be able to go, okay, I know I have this much white oak. Where's it at? I need to know. I'm looking for 10 white oak slabs. They need to be a minimum of
Right.
14-foot long, and they need to be a minimum of 36-inch diameter of live edge slabs, 3 inches thick or more. How do I do that? So we could run reports and navigate
So,
through that. But how did we know where they were to go pull them?
so definitely one of the key features to the app is locating your inventory, right? Where the heck is that piece? I know I have, where's it at, right? And that's a very simple process, but it's also complicated depending on how your business is set up. So in onboarding many companies, there's a whole range, right? There's people who are new, they got a new business, they're new to the whole thing, so they may have small inventory and they're in the beginning of setting up those storage locations or identifying where they're putting their lumber. And then you have the people who are well established like yourself, who have tons of inventory and may or may not have some system or process that they use to manage that inventory and locate it quickly. And for the most part, I found most businesses of large size don't have that set up. They don't have the way to do that easily. They do it through their own inventory, through however their inventory, with a spreadsheet or on paper or in their head. We find that a lot. So that's one of the key features. And so we go into that because is complicated in the sense of, if you don't have a plan, you need to make one and you need to lay out a really good plan. So usually I start with people like yourself and I go and just try to find out where they're at in their organization and how they organize their inventory. And I start from there and then kind of build a plan with them and say, okay, well, if you've got a great plan, it's easy because you just got to put it on paper. For the most part, I tell people put it on paper so you have it all laid out in detail and organized properly, and then you can put that into the app to help manage your inventory through the app. So like your case, right, you had two locations, tons of inventory, all over the place, and so yours was a combination of looking at everything and figuring out one, how am I going to start to break this down into an easy, manageable inventory where I can go, okay, I know I got this type of log of this length over here, and I need to go right to it, and I can search for it and find it and go right to it. And with you, we basically started from scratch, and we said, here's the space, and how do we break it down? Okay, well, let's break it down in like at Sheridan, it was there's so much there. Obviously, we had to start a certain spot and break it down. So we started with quadrants of the fields and broke it down into locations that way, and depending on what was in there. Yeah. So and there wasn't, I would say, a well organized plan. So we at the same time we were trying to set up
I'm
storage
a
locations.
disorganized person, so I'm working on it, Andrew.
Well, the thing is when you have that much stuff,
It's hard. It is. Yeah.
when you have that much stuff, it's hard. It's hard to keep it organized and so at the same time we were trying to create a storage location. We were also at the same time trying to rearrange and design how we're going to locate things and move things around and create storage locations that make sense, keeping things together.
And have data
Um,
actually put them where
and
they
then
need to be. So
I wasn't gonna say his name, but you said it first, so I can say it now. Yeah, so that's the thing is
being honest.
you get some you get somebody who is used to doing something the same way their whole life. That's one of the it's a bottleneck, and you have to try to figure out how to work around it and work with it, and that's a continuous improvement type thing, right? So
Yeah.
we're constantly working on that. If we have a good plan, we can kind of manipulate sometimes it into the right places. So
Perfect.
um So that's Sheraton, which is still a work in progress. Obviously, it's a huge place, and we're continuing to work on that. When it comes to Oliver's, a different scenario, right? We have a nice structured area. We Same thing. We created a map, broke the areas down into different sections. We had a staging area building, and then we have the showroom, and we basically just pick pieces and chuck it down. And basically, what you try to do is you try to take a big area and you just try to work it down, down, down into the smallest reasonable section. Obviously, you're not going to go right to the piece unless it's some large piece that's you designated in one spot. But um, you you break it down into an area where you can reasonably find something within a few minutes. Getting to it is within a minute, and then finding it with a minute or two. So with the Olivers, you a little bit easier.
I've got to tell you, our profitability has gone up so much just by eliminating the random searches that we would do every single day when a customer called in. This has just, it is so different. It's so much better now. So it's amazing. So, anyway, sorry.
Yeah, I mean, it's no, it's okay. Yeah, so we broke it down into this, structure of the building. So you have walls, shelves, racks, floor space, and you just break that down into pieces and chunks that you can reasonably manage. And once you do that and you get into the system, each time you add inventory, you're just going to say when you place it in that area, you're going to give it that storage location. And like I said, what that allows you to do is as soon as you know you need to find a specific item, or the item you're looking for, you search it in the app, and there's the storage location, and you just even if don't know the area well, we created a map, a floor map that showed the same layout, and you can either go to the map and follow the map, and it'll take you right to the location. And usually, you can take it if you've never seen the piece or you don't know what it looks like. You uh, you now look in that one area, and if you can't see it right away, you may pull up the picture and just go, okay, that's what it looks like. Or you may look at the sizes and say, this is this size, and just help find it a little quicker. But usually it's, like I said, within a minute, you locate it. And depending on the sizes of the material, like some bays are, 15 feet long, but you may have like 5 large pieces in it. So, it's not too hard to find. And then you get to a smaller bay that has smaller pieces.
And so when they find the piece, tell them about the marker, the code that's on it, and how that works, and why we opted the QR code for our tagging system, and explain why we adopted that and how beneficial it is to the sawyers as well as the shop owners.
Well, there's a lot of reasons. One, QR codes are just everywhere now. So it's barcode is for the most part, something that was used in manufacturing and inventory systems, but wasn't really generally the public couldn't access that information. But now we have all these QR codes, so public knows, like if you scan a QR code, you're going to get some kind of information from it. So we wanted to start with the QR code, and at the same time, we wanted to start with a batch process where you don't have to put something into the inventory system and have to print something out. That's a common process in inventory systems where your information is already, you have to put the information in. And with inventory systems, that works great because a lot of times you're mass producing, right? You're mass producing, you got the same product. So it's not too hard to put that information in, print out those tags, and then label something quickly, right? But with the urban lumber project, we realized that like all this stuff, a lot of it's all unique, right? So each item has to have its own number. So we came up with the batch QR code process where you just have a bunch of QR codes in your pocket, you tag the item, you scan it, and as soon as you scan it, that's where you start the input.
Yeah, so it was so exciting to have that style of QR code because in our minds we've got guys going out and they're picking up logs out in the field or doing tree removals, or a load of logs come in and they're literally out, in the back 40 in our place, and to go up to a printer, print things off, get them back and go, okay, which one did this go to? We were very concerned with the integrity of that data as it was being put in. And so what you came up with the batch QR codes, it was a big, I feel like it was a big win for us because now our guys can have, a little ditty bag with all their QR codes in it on their hip, taking it out there with their hammer, a load of logs come in, they tag them all. They may not even put all the data in yet, but that's okay. They can say, hey, this all came from Liz's tree that she planted when she was 4 years old. This is a real story, by the way, that she planted when she was 4 years old with her dad. And then, fast forward 65 years later, it had to come down. And so we're able to track that data for her so that we have that whole backstory in there. We know the species, we know the year it was planted, we have pictures of it standing, pictures of it once it's removed. And now when we go to sell it, that's not even dry yet, but we'll have that parent-child relationship to the slabs and lumber and fireplace mantles we'll get out of that tree. And all those QR codes will tag through there and showing that parent-child relationship. And then when we go to market it and put it up on the marketplace, all that data and history that we want to be able to share with our client is there. And if we were relying on going to the office and printing out a QR code and you know, tagging it backwards, we'd have, and we're not perfect with all of our stuff inventoried yet. We're still working on that, but we'd be even farther behind if we hadn't implemented that system. So thank you so much for bringing that to us. It was amazing.
Yeah. So, and the other thing I was going to say too, was the great thing about the QR code and the way that they're used in everywhere now is, currently we're using them with the app, the inventory app only, but the goal is as the marketplace develops, eventually the client or the customer will be able to scan the QR code themselves and it'll automatically pull up that information on the marketplace, and they can review the the cost and the sizes and all that stuff. So it won't just be used for the inventory system, which is private information. So that's a key to the development of the whole project, was that the QR codes are very recognizable and easy to scan.
Right. So when somebody walks in, and this is a piece of it that we haven't rolled out to the public yet, we'll be doing that soon. Now you have to, if you want to scan the QR code, you have to have the app opened for it to go where it needs to go. But as soon as we make a switch in our system, you'll be able to scan these QR codes. And if you don't have the app, if you're, a customer shopping, you'll be able to scan the QR code and not get the back end data that's private, like cost of goods sold and all that stuff. But you'll be able to get the customer facing information such as price, species, backstory, chain of custody, those types of things, moisture content, species that should be customer facing. And so it's very exciting. We have a hack now. You can just go to our website and type in the number 103-2212 or whatever and find that information. But we'll make it a little bit easier in the future with that scanning. So very exciting on that.
I was going to say, I don't know if you mind if I tell a story, kind of a funny one.
Well, how funny.
Well, it's just it kind of wraps, I think it just like wraps the whole thing in the idea of how this tool works, and where we've come from to where we're at today. So I love this because it's so funny, because it's just like, it took a second for the light to come on, but it was just like, I don't know. And if you recall this, but I was out there working in the shop one day.
I have a feeling he's going to embarrass me.
And you came running out. I might over exaggerate, but you came running out. I need something. For the app. And it was, we got this thumbnail on the picture on when you pull up your inventory, you have a quick view, and then you have a inventory list view. And in that there's a thumbnail picture of the item that you've taken a picture of, and it's a thumbnail, a thumbprint. So it's real high quality, or it's not the full picture, and Jennifer, I need this, I got to have this perfect picture in this thing. And I said, why? Well,
I don't
because
picture.
Well, because I need to know what it looks like so I know where it's at to go find it. And I said, but why? Why do you need to do that? That's what the whole system's for. It's like, you don't need to know what it looks like.
You just need to know the QR code number. And
Have-
you need to, but that's again, that's where you came from. That was the way you kept
That was-
inventory.
Yeah.
And you don't have to do that now. You can hand it off to somebody else who doesn't even know the inventory, or maybe not even seen
They
it.
don't even know the species. They don't need, I mean,
don't
it's,
even
I know
know
us, they don't need to. Yeah.
Right. And that's the it's not brains, or it's not science, it's not crazy magic. It's very simplistic in its design, but sometimes people don't think that it's so common sense,
I'm
right?
not a systems
Um,
thinker. Yeah.
That's
But-
it. It's not just you. Like it's
Oh,
like
yeah, no.
everyone we talk to, it's the same thing. It's just it's you're running, you're working, you're just moving so fast, you don't have time to
Right.
and then, but if you take the time and you put a little time into this app, you will get to the point where
Right.
it's real time. Because that's, I think, the biggest hang up that I've seen most people is they go, wow, everybody says, I've been waiting for this. This is great. This is perfect. And we're watching. Well, why aren't they using it? And then you talk to them, and you call them back. Are you having problems?
Try to start.
No, it's not that. It's just I'm too busy. I don't have time to. Well, I know it takes some time because and people get overwhelmed with the amount of inventory they have, and they go, how am I going to do this? And I always tell them, you don't do it all, because if you try to do it all at once, you are going to get overwhelmed. Just start
Right.
with something easy, a small piece. Start with your logs. Start with just what you're working on right now, and eventually it'll become real time, and you won't even notice that you're doing it. And you'll have this application that can help you in so many ways.
Right. And we sell more quickly now. We're not having to remeasure. Oh my goodness, the amount of times we've had to remeasure things because we didn't put a tag on there to say what it was. And now the tag goes on, it's measured. The data's there, the species, cost of goods sold, backstory. Has it gone through the kiln yet? All that data is there. And then, once it gets to the marketplace, and for us, we're actively using the marketplace and people are buying. A funny story on the storage location, Andrew, this week, or no, Friday, we went to pull an order came through our marketplace, and I was like, I'm not going to bother anybody. I'm just going to go get it myself. I know right where this species is. And so I walked out there, and then I was looking at it and I'm like, wait, it's saying, I can't remember what it was. I think it said north wall left shelf or something. And I'm like, we don't have any shelves on our north wall. What is Andrew? Andrew's good at this. What did he do? And I'm looking at our map because he drew this picture of our map. Well, I am so used to all the stuff for sale being in building A and Oliver's that I never looked up to the top and realized, oh, this is in building B, because most of our stuff for sale is in building A. So anyways, it was in building B, priced and ready for sale, but we just didn't have room to move those stacks over. So I found it, but I thought Andrew made a mistake, and of course he didn't. I was going to call you.
We all make mistakes, Nick.
But
Not on the inventory.
but not on a storage location. Like you would have helped that, So yeah, that has been huge. And we're like I said, we're using the marketplace. We're selling from it. People we never would have been able to reach. They're ordering. They're placing. We wake up in the morning and there's orders, and which we had before when we had WooCommerce and Shop and all these other things. But the beauty of it now is when they place that order, it deducts it from my inventory, so I don't still think I might have it. So when I go to pull a report or somebody wants a quote on something and maybe we don't even have it posted for sale yet, I can go into the back end of our inventory system now and I can see what we have. I can see what we have that may not even have gone through the kiln yet. It's in a different stage, so it's not posted for sale yet. And say, yeah, we have this, but it's going to need to run through the kiln. Here's the time frame. And so our quoting process, our time to quote products is greatly reduced. And it's just mind-boggling how many years we spent and how much time we spent doing things the slow way and how much this has improved our profit, our organization, and everything else.
Yeah, I'm one of the things that I've found just as a user, because I am up there, often and using it. We'll get a phone call, somebody's interested in something, and there's so much inventory, nobody can keep track of it all. So you may know where something's at. I may know where one or two pieces are at just by memory, but we'll get a call and somebody's like, hey, I'm looking for this species and this size. Before you had to go, you had to go searching and measuring and, to find something that was close. Now we can with the app, if it's something simple like a species, we can pull up a search through the app and species. If they want a little bit more detail or specific sizes, currently you can download the information into Excel and do filters and really nail it down to a set of items before you go out on the shop floor and look for it. So that speeds things up really a lot. And we do that all the time. It helps.
Yeah, definitely improved our quoting process for sure, as well as our closing those sales. People want things now and they want things quick. They don't want to wait 3 days to get a quote on something or to find all the pictures. They want it now. And so being able to deliver that and offer that is phenomenal. Plus just knowing what I have in inventory. So, somebody calls in and they've, an architect or designer, and they have this project and it's going to come out next year. And, to be able to quote what they need and know if you have the logs to start milling, to start drying, to get into that project, or do you need to go source logs for this? We have that data at our fingertips now, and it's game changing. I tell you what.
And the amount of time it saves you. I mean, it saves you going out and, either having to tell somebody else to go find it or, and then they have to go search for it. It's just huge reduction in times.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, thank you so much for giving us all that information, Andrew. Is there anything else you'd like to share about the app or your work with AncesTREE?
No, I think anybody who's interested in the app, again, don't get overwhelmed by it. We are here to help you. I tell everybody, please call me. I'm available most of the time with anything they need, any help they need setting it up, stores, locations. I've helped a few companies get dialed in on that. And I know the people who are using it are enjoying it and see the benefit in it, especially long term as their business grows and as hopefully this whole industry grows and continues to build on this urban lumber usage. And so I'm really excited. I know it's a slow grow, but definitely growing.
Yeah. And you mentioned urban lumber. But we're actually working. We have a contract now with an entity here in California, and it's not even going to be urban lumber. It's going to be local wood. But a lot of those same features of tracking that chain of custody and where it came from and the miles traveled are still going to be important parts of that. And so lumber, local wood, it could be traditional wood. It doesn't, the system doesn't matter, but it's just so beneficial to those that are trying to track the data like the local wood or the urban wood and tell those backstories. It's so important.
Yeah, it's exciting.
So Andrew, how would somebody wants to sign up for AncesTREE? What would their first steps be to do that?
Well, you just have to go to AncesTREE.io and go to register and start the registration process. Once you register your company, I'll get a email notification, and then I will send you an email to set up a onboarding session, and we'll go from there. Get you set up.
Yeah. And AncesTREE is ANCESTREE. So AncesTREE. Yes. .io, not .com. Yeah. Yep. So AncesTREE. And if you want to follow AncesTREE, it's AncesTREE_inventory on Instagram and AncesTREE on Facebook. So go follow, check it out. If you are ready for help with your business, and that's one of the things we thought about, just keeping it, for Far West. Yes, this is amazing. It's doing great things, but you can have your inventory managed through it too. And we have low cost and no cost options for you, depending on kind of what you want to do with it. There is literally no reason not to sign up. It will change your business. I promise you, it has changed ours. And So I strongly encourage you, if you're wanting, if you're wanting that New Year's resolution, you're wanting a different page for 2026 than you've had in the past, less chaos and more profit, you can't not sign up for AncesTREE. Take charge of your business, take control back, and you will not regret it. And you will be ready as we launch the marketplace. You definitely want to have inventory in there. We're going to be offering an aggregated marketplace where AncesTREE markets for you your products. You post them up. Far West products will be there. Your products, all these different products from all these different vendors will be on this aggregated site. And we'll be marketing that out to designers, architects, builders, DIYers, woodworkers, so that in one place they know that they can find those woods that they used to have to go out to all these different locations to source for. It's very much going to be catered towards the urban wood and local wood market, but there will be traditional woods on there as well, and they'll just declare that, and then that way people can purchase what makes sense to them. So yeah, that's what we had for you today on the Woodpreneur Podcast. Thank you so much, Andrew, for being here, kind of explaining my passion, and urban wood and lumber businesses. And thank you so much, amazing project manager, and he's serious. Reach out to him. Andrew at AncesTREE.org is his email if you want to reach out to him, or you can go to the website and register and he'll reach out to you. Thank you so much for being here. New episode drops every Thursday on the Woodpreneur Podcast, so make sure you like, share, and subscribe. We'll see you next week.